Hey, welcome in.
Welcome to the Arrowhead Addict podcast.
We are here coming to you live.
The Kansas City Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. You only win a Super Bowl 2 times every 5 years, right? Oh! The warm-up act is over. Let's bring in Melissa Etheridge, massive Chiefs fan. Melissa,
Super Bowl champion, 2-time Pro Bowler, and Trent Green. Trent Green, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
he picked it up! He picked it up! He's gonna score! And we'll see you next week, but until then, as always, go Chiefs.
Welcome. This is Wacky Wednesday on the Arrowhead Addict channel. I'm Adam Best here with Sterling and producer Richard. Sterling, you got to be feeling good today, right? Christmas in October.
I am feeling good. Feeling so good.
I love the censor button. The weirdest thing happened to me. I'm not much of an early riser, and I woke up at 5 or something with a headache. And I was like, why am I up so early? And of all the days, I'm just staring at my screen the second I see the Adam Schefter alert, and I'm like, well, this is why. It's like the bat signal. I just feel at this point of being a Chiefs fan for 4 decades, I just feel it in my bones, man. I know when something's up.
Dude, I'm thrilled. We'll get into all this stuff. I don't want to get ahead of myself now. I don't want to give all my thoughts away this early, but damn, I'm excited, man. Like, how are you not? Now, I get it. He's almost Patrick Peterson, where he feels like he was a Chief all the time. Like he was always a name that the Chiefs were going to get. Finally happened. Yeah, he's 32. We'll get into all that stuff, but man, it's a good day to be a member of Chiefs Kingdom.
Sure the hell is. And we've got an amazing show for you guys today. If you have 30 minutes, just half an hour, we will tell you everything, and I mean everything you need to know about the DeAndre Hopkins trade. But before we get to all that, we've got a little bit of business to take care of.
Yeah, and that business is awesome. That business is Underdog. Underdog, it's badass. It's currently Booztober on Underdog, where there's a promo to play nearly every day. And what I really do like is the injury protection thing they have. Really cool. I had a 5-legger, and what did I need to do? 5 legs, 4 hit. Oh no, but the one that didn't, Jaden Daniels, he got injured. What did those sneaky folks at Underdog do? Well, they gave me injury protection. They just canceled that one. So I still won. I was a winner. Feels really fun. Just higher or lower. You can win up to 1,000 times your bet just by choosing higher or lower right there on Underdog. I honestly really enjoy it. I also really enjoy their fantasy football. Like, I like the daily/weekly ones you can do there. Underdog. There's not much more you can say besides the fact that you can join Underdog right now if you use code Arrowhead Addict, all one word, and you can get to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Again, with code Arrowhead Addict, all one word, you can get to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. You must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona 1-800-NEXT-STEP, 1-800-639-8783, or text NEXT-STEP to 53342. New York, call 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY, or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
Pretty fast. And yeah, I love Underdog. This reminds me, I need to check my Best Ball Mania portfolio. I think I've got like 10 or 15 teams that I just haven't checked in like a month. It's always fun. It's always fun. So time for today's segment, 10 no longer burning, but flamin' hot questions.
So when you say psychosomatic, you mean like he could start a fire with his thoughts?
I just saw too many people doing burning. We gotta up the ante here on Wacky Wednesday. Like I said earlier, this is a special edition where we'll focus exclusively on the DeAndre Hopkins trade. We've got 10 questions for you. And our old friend, the Countdown-O-Tron 8008, is back with us. Gotta love Boob. Number one, let's get rolling. How quickly can the Chiefs get D-Hop integrated into their extremely complex offense?
Yeah, I don't think it'll be extremely long. I think DeAndre Hopkins is a guy who's been around, not in an Andy Reid system, obviously, but he's been around the block. He's been on multiple teams now. And I think integrated in the entire offense, well, it'll be longer. He has 11 weeks to do that. As long as it's before the playoffs, I think we're all going to be okay. But as far as actually playing some sort of role, I think immediately. I think you'll see him against the Raiders. I think that hamstring injury that he has, I think, oh no, it's all of a sudden it's healed. He's good to go against the Raiders. Shocking. Again, I'm not saying he plays a ton. You might still see some Sky Moore, probably way more than you'd like to see out there. But you might see DeAndre Hopkins on 10 to 20 snaps. That wouldn't surprise me. You might even see him get one of those Josh Gordon specials where you force feed him a touchdown to make it look good for the fan base, get him integrated in the offense. I think you will see him week one. Again, you won't see him play a ton, I don't think, until a little later on in the season. But even early on against the Raiders, I think you will see him.
He's a veteran, man. We saw how quickly Juju Smith-Schuster got acclimated to this offense his first year here. I think DeAndre will get eased in a little bit, but he's a savvy enough player to hit the ground running. What's really exciting about this and might make it a little bit harder for him to integrate is I don't really like any of the play callers for the most part that DeAndre Hopkins has had. I mean, what they were doing in Tennessee this year, just abysmal. That offense is unwatchable trash. Cliff Kingsbury in Arizona famously just kept him on the left side of the field. No motion, no flipping it, just static. I mean, the most predictable shit you've ever seen. So giving a guy like Andy Reid a tool like DeAndre Hopkins and someone who has the intelligence and experience, we're talking about a 10-year vet here, maybe over 10 years. I just keep going back to Juju, how he picked it up. I think D-Hop's going to have a similar process.
Yeah. Super chat to get to from Raymond Chandler. Raymond, really do appreciate you. Says, before I have to run to my daughter's house here in KC, I know you're traveling here to KC right now. Appreciate you coming all the way just to help out Brett Veach make that final decision. Says, big super chat kudos to Veach for fooling everyone who said he'd only sign DeMarcus Robinson. I'm that guy. Yeah, I'm the one. I was fooled by Veach. He got me.
Also, peer pressure, though. Bullying,
Yeah. Also, shout out to Anonymous Mango for that super chat as well. Says, D-Hop the first Chief to wear 0. He should. I don't think I've seen if he's officially gone with a number yet, but obviously 10's taken, 1's taken, 6, his college number's taken. I want 0. I want to see.
Didn't he wear 22 when he played basketball at Clemson? I think he wore 22 there. But is that taken?
That's McDuffie.
It's McDuffie, yeah, of course.
So he's got
I get
0.
confused with McDuffie used to be 21. It's a little confusing.
Give him 0. I want to see it, Gilbert Arena style.
Touchdown, Kansas City.
Question number 2: was the trade a good business decision?
Yes. I don't even think it's questionable. Like, what was given up was so fair for Kansas City. I don't think anyone could question this. A 5th rounder turns into a 4th, and if it turns into a 4th, things have gone right. It turns into a 4th if the Chiefs make the Super Bowl and DeAndre Hopkins, up until that point, plays 60% of the snaps. Things have gone seriously right, and bleep the 4th. I don't care. They're playing for the threepeat. They're in the game. This was for sure a great business move. By the way, the Titans ate nearly half of his contract this year just to make it work, and they still only received a 5th rounder. Like, sorry, is this a big warm blanket? Is this a soft blanket? Because the Titans just got fleeced, dog. Yeah, great business move.
Well, I wonder if this is kind of you scratch our back, we'll scratch yours, because they did really get a sweetheart deal on the L'Jarius Sneed trade. A lot of us thought the Chiefs might get a 2. They gave up a 3rd. So I think the Titans did right by DeAndre Hopkins, did right by the Chiefs. It's pretty good compensation. I mean, he is a very particular player at age 32. He is dealing with a little bit of an injury, which we will get to. But yeah, this is a grand slam, man. Just putting someone with this level of experience and his everything he brings. He's the full wide receiver. He's got everything you could possibly want except breakaway speed. That's the only hole that's ever been in DeAndre Hopkins' game. And I would argue that he may have the best hands in the NFL over the past decade.
Yeah.
There's an argument for that.
I love this comment from Clint. If you guys don't know Clint, always appreciate you in here. Maybe the nicest, most positive guy I have ever known in my life. And he says, I hate the Raiders with a hatred that is so pure, complete, and perfect. I want Coach Reid just one time to run up the score on them to obscene, embarrassing levels. Hey, I can dream. Now, if you know Clint at all, so kind, so nice. I love that. It means, Clint, that means I feel your passion and your hatred for the Raiders. I love it.
It's visceral. It's popping off the screen. This is Raiders week and Raider week, and we will get to that definitely tomorrow and in our preview show. But today is DeAndre Hopkins day.
Oh, you know what? I'll give him a week.
DeAndre Hopkins a week.
Kansas City.
Number 3, at 32 years old, how much does Hopkins have left in the tank?
It's a great question. I think that's the main question. He went over 1,000 yards last year. The Ryan Tannehill and Will Levis throwing him the ball. So there's still something there. Do I think he's the same guy he was 5 years ago? The same guy he was with the Texans? No, I think you'd be drinking the Kool-Aid if you thought he was. But he still has a good amount left in the tank. I wouldn't consider him a superstar anymore. Like, I don't think he's a top 10 receiver anymore. I don't. But I think he's a big difference maker, especially for this Kansas City Chiefs team, right? Like, if he was on the Texans right now, if the Texans were healthy, right, with Nico Collins, Tank Dell, and Stephon Diggs, DeAndre might be the wide receiver 4, right? He might be at this point in his career. Could be. Right now, he's wide receiver 1 on KC by a wide margin. By a wide margin. Like, he elevates this Chiefs room so drastically, especially the floor. He's given Mahomes something he has not really had before, which is this 50-50 ball winner. Mahomes even said at one point he wanted to get a little more aggressive in the red zone. Like, he was noticing some throws where he was a little too timid on. I wonder if this helps. Yeah, he's still got something left in the tank.
So last year, Nuke, that's his other nickname. Everyone calls him D-Hop, but he's also known as Nuke. He was top 5 in ESPN's open rating last season, along with guys like A.J. Brown and Garrett Wilson. His yards per out run last season was 2.09. He's actually higher this year at 2.4, but that's a pretty limited sample size. I think he's run something like, I don't even know if he's run 100 routes yet. I agree with you. He has lost a step from that Texans peak. But, I mean, you're already talking about an A-plus player. So losing a step, he's still a B-plus player with A moments. Because, and we'll get to this over and over again, his game is not built on athleticism. It's built on intangibles and being a technician and being his hand-eye coordination is out of this galaxy, man. So, I think he has a little bit left in the tank. And think about it this way. He is on the verge of becoming a Hall of Fame player. You know, right now, is he a lock? No, he's got a good case, but he's not a lock. He plays a significant role in helping the Chiefs threepeat. start carving the bust, man. He is in the Hall of Fame. He's punched his ticket. That's going to be a motivating factor for this guy.
Yeah. And I see talk about the injury.
Kansas City.
We're about to talk about it.
We are. Number 4, perfect timing. Can Hopkins' knee and lower body hold up for the rest of the year? I just want to clear up what's going on with him. He had a partial tear or sprain of his left MCL on July 31st. That's been a bit opaque. Like at first it was supposed to be a tear. Then he said it was a sprain. So this is kind of like a 12-week injury that is never going to fully heal until he gets rest or maybe even surgery. But he should be able to play with this. What's your take on his health?
Yeah, this would probably be my main concern. But it's also why I think it was a good business decision, because it was just a 5th rounder, right? If he gets injured and does not play, then that's just a 5th. That's not a 4th. Okay. So that right there is good news. I get the concern, because that's my only concern with Hopkins. It's not about what he has left in the tank. It's not, can he help this Chiefs roster? It's, can he stay healthy? And I think he can. I'm a little nervous until like Hollywood comes back. What's his snap count gonna look like? I think they ease him in at least the first couple weeks, but like, how is he playing 90% of the snaps? 80? You know, we'll see how much wear and tear that body can take at this point in his career. As far as like the hamstring injury and why he sat out last week, I'm fairly convinced that's more or less a, hey, we know we're going to trade you. You're not going out there, because if you do get injured, now we get nothing back in return.
Did he sit out last week?
I believe he sat out last week. Yeah.
Okay.
I
saw a point on my fantasy roster. I've been holding on to him this entire time. Just please, please, please. So you mentioned the snap count. He's at 43% to date. So they've been kind of tearing him up week by week. A few issues here, like there's no bye week. You'd like the Chiefs to have like a week 13 bye to give him a rest. So I'm just kind of thinking he will never have a full complement of snaps until the playoffs. Red zone situations, high leverage situations, I'm talking third downs, fourth quarter, things of that nature. If the Chiefs get behind, I think maybe with both him and Hopkins, they can play neither Kelce nor him. I don't want those guys playing 90% of snaps, really. I mean, most receivers you wouldn't say that about, but and getting back to the athletic score here, I mean, his athleticism, his relative athletic score coming out of college was 4.94. That is not very good. So again, his game is not about athleticism. I don't think this is really going to play too big of a factor. He looked really good in that Packers game, particularly. I think that's the one game I watched all of it. But we did just trade for an injured receiver to replace 3 injured receivers. Got to say that.
Touchdown, Kansas City.
Number 5, how will the Chiefs utilize DeAndre Hopkins?
So keep the time rolling, because we don't need 3 minutes on this one. But I want to get to this question from Brandon here. Brandon says that better be an actual Baldwin hat, not the embarrassing ripoff hat. Best, can you confirm or deny? Is that a Baldwin hat?
It's a Sandlot hat.
All right, Sandlot's
I like
solid.
Sandlot. Yeah.
Sandlot's solid. Brandon, I'm shocked you actually know what Baldwin is, because I don't think Baldwin's around anymore. I had a Baldwin hat like that. It was phenomenal, and it got stolen at an airport. It was going through the conveyor belt. You know how they check to see if you have anything in your bag? You had to take your hat off. The person working there stole my hat, because that's the only logical explanation of why my hat's no longer on my dome. And I'm like, where's my hat, guy? And he goes, what hat are you talking about? I'm like, the bleeping hat that was going through the conveyor belt. Either this is the worst security system of all time, which is possible, or you stole my Baldwin hat, guy. So, yes, Brandon, I love Baldwin hats. Don't know if they make me more. I still have my Baldwin jeans. This is a very random conversation that only a few select folk in case you know about.
I think Baldwin's done, but a few things about utilization here. Mahomes has never had a great outside ball winner. He's never had that big prototypical X So we don't know. I mean, we can say he doesn't like to throw 50-50 balls and Andy Reid doesn't like 50-50 balls, but they've never really had a player quite like this. And he did throw some 50-50 balls to Tyreek Hill, who's about 4 or 5 inches shorter than him. I also think that everyone just thinks he's this jump ball guy, this sideline, toe tapper, but he can do some of the Rashee Rice, Juju Smith-Schuster stuff. He's smart enough to find coverage soft spots. He turns up field and racks up yak. Does he have that initial burst that Rashee Rice does? Well, no, very few players do, but he's traditionally only played in the slot about 10 to 35% of the time. And usually that's closer to 10 or 20 than 35. I think that number is going to go up in Kansas City to get him easy looks and to tap into that, that savviness, that on-field IQ.
Yeah, I'm with you, especially early on. You think you've heard Andy Reid talk how important the wide receiver spot opposite Kelce is, which typically is going to be the slot, right? That was the Rashee Rice, that was Juju when he had his big game. Like that's that spot that's so important. Justin Watson doesn't fill that role. Well, Cole Hardman doesn't really fill that role. Sky Moore was the guy that you hoped could fill that role, but clearly that's not the answer. So I think, yeah, it is going to be DeAndre Hopkins, at least early on, filling that role. You're going to try and give him those easy open looks. The yak ability probably is not going to be there, but as far as having sure hands, that Sky Moore, I'm not trying to pick on him, but that dropped that ball, right? DeAndre's coming down with that. That's an 8-yard gain for Hopkins. That's an incompletion to a lot of other guys on this roster. I think that's going to be the biggest early on usage as well as, of course, in the red zone.
Touchdown, Kansas City.
Yeah. I got to go overtime for a second here because I really feel strongly that they're going to use him in the slot more than people think. And I said the same thing about Rashee Rice. And people thought I was crazy, but I just think, I mean, hey, I was wrong about Scott. I could not have been more wrong about Sky Moore, but I just think the Chiefs, this is probably why they picked him instead of Amari Cooper, because they think he's better suited for this. Before we get to number 6, we've got a little bit more business for you guys.
Yeah. By the way, I agree with you in giving you your kudos for getting Rashee Rice in the slot, the big slot boy. You're correct. Mint Mobile, all y'all. With big wireless providers, what you see is never what you get. Somewhere between the store and your first month's bill, the price you thought you were paying magically skyrockets. With Mint Mobile, you never have to worry about gotchas ever again. When Mint Mobile says $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan, they mean it. Say bye to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected coverages, and say hello to Mint Mobile. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/arrowhead. That's mintmobile.com/arrowhead. You can cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/arrowhead. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first month, 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes in unlimited plans. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
Before we get to number 6, I have some statistics to set the table for this one. So Mahomes in his first 6 games this year, 6 TDs. His previous career average for this duration, the first 6 weeks, 15.5 TDs. That is down almost 10 TDs from his average, not his peak, from his average. The other kind of remarkable and a little bit scary stat for Mahomes is his ADOT. His average depth of target is 6.1. That's 38th among qualifying quarterbacks. And I want to take you through how the Chiefs offense has kind of evolved and maybe even devolved a little bit this year in terms of pushing the ball down the field. So in 2018, that was 9.5 yards. In 19, that was 8.7. In 2020, that was 8.9. 2021, 7.6. 2022, 7.7. 23, 6.8. 2024, 6.1. So it's almost, I mean, it's not exactly linear, but it's just been this steady decline. And I think it's hit a point where it's a little too low. I think hovering almost at 8 in this new era of too high shells. So just wanted to preface this question with that information. Will having a bona fide wide receiver 1 turn around Mahomes' slow start?
That's a good question. I don't think he's going to all of a sudden Mahomes no longer throws an interception. He's going to have 6 touchdowns a game. Like no, I think we're being a little over dramatic there. I think the offense is still the offense where it's going to run through the run game first. But I do think he helps a lot on the ADOT, as you're talking about the average depth of target. DeAndre Hopkins, especially if he is on the outside. I know you and I have talked a lot about the slot, a lot of maybe those underneath routes. But when he does play on the outside, he will be a deep ball guy. Him and Worthy on the field at the same time should be a lot of fun to watch. Should also open things underneath for Travis Kelce. I think he will help the ADOT, the average depth of target, but I don't think he's all of a sudden. I'm just trying to be a realist here. The Chiefs are 6-0. They're still going to win ball games, but I don't think you're looking at like the 2018 offense breakout all of a sudden. That's not what I'm expecting, but I do expect a nice uptick in average depth of target, especially in regards to DeAndre Hopkins, because he's not a yak guy. So if you're going to get a 12-yard gain, most likely it's an 11-yard catch, and with his long arms, he leans the ball forward.
Yeah, he's not a yak guy on Rashee Rice's level, but I think he could pick up a little bit of yak if they use him like that. But you're right. His ADOT last year, Hopkins ADOT, was 14.8. That is very high and second highest among full-time wideouts. The only player that played 50% of snaps or more that was higher was Mike Evans. So you're in elite company there. That's the kind of player he is. And he might put some explosive plays back on the menu. I don't know how he does it because he's kind of a 4.57 or 4.6 40 guy coming out of college. But like Patrick Mahomes, he's seemingly faster once you get the cleats and pads on. It doesn't make any sense, but I do think explosive plays here and there might be back on the menu. He's still separating. Even stuck in that bad Tennessee offense, he was averaging 3.2 yards of separation, which isn't phenomenal, but it was better than both Calvin Ridley and Tyler Boyd. So he was outperforming other people in that system. Again, I just keep going back to this. I think he's still got it. And if Mahomes, you don't want Mahomes like not trusting his tackles and not trusting his receivers. Now he's got 2 security blankets out there, right? And I think he's going to process a little faster and be a little bit more decisive with another security blanket out there.
Yeah. And the offensive line has not been great at tackle. The interior 3 have been outstanding. But it seems like the second quarter on, Wanye and Juwan have been a lot better. That first quarter is typically the quarter of concern.
Kansas City.
Number 7, is Hopkins a better scheme fit than the other possible trade targets? We're talking Amari Cooper, Devontae Adams, Deontay Johnson, Cooper Kupp, etc.
That's a really good call. I think Deontay Johnson maybe made the most sense because of the age, and if you're going to re-sign him. But if you're only looking at a like it's weird because everyone has their upside. Like Amari Cooper made the most sense contract wise, right? DeAndre Hopkins is probably the second best schematic fit behind, I think, Cooper Kupp. But Cooper Kupp came with probably the most expensive cap casualty as far as what you trade and actual salary cap because he still has 2 more years on his contract and he has 1 more that you're not getting out of.
And health risk.
And health risk. Like every single one has a positive and a negative, I think. Right? Like I think Amari Cooper may be just as talented as Hopkins, a year younger, but I don't think he fit this Chiefs offense the way that Hopkins does. Right? So like every single guy had a positive and a negative. I'm kind of choosing to focus on the positives here because I'm so damn excited, right? Like I'm just so thrilled that DeAndre is a Kansas City Chief. But I think Kupp maybe made the most sense schematically, right? But I don't think there was I know they talked about it and the Rams were willing to eat up some of that contract, but the more they eat up the contract, the higher draft capital you have to give up. Then you have to look at what his contract looks like next year. I think Hopkins was kind of the blend of everything. It was the blend of he makes the most sense this year. You can make the contract work. And if you wanted to extend it for 1 more year, you probably could.
Cooper Kupp would have absolutely melted faces in that power slot role. He would have been Rashee Rice on human growth hormone. I mean, it would have been unfair to the rest of the league, but can he stay healthy? He's been wearing a hoodie on the sideline more than a jersey these past few years. So that's an issue. He's also owed like $57 million in cap hits these next 2 years. So that's a non-starter for Brett Veach. Then you look at Amari Cooper. He's a little too inconsistent. I think when you compare him to someone like DeAndre Hopkins, he's a little bit of a freelancer. And while he can do a lot of the outside stuff, I don't know if he's as potent of a red zone weapon. I mean, he scores touchdowns, but like DeAndre Hopkins really scores touchdowns down there close. And I don't know. He's just a little bit of a freelancer. I don't really see him doing damage in the slot. Deontay Johnson, there's injuries, there's the hand stuff. Does he fit in everywhere he goes? But the guy can separate like nobody's business. So I did like him. I kind of think though that Hopkins was the cheapest in terms of draft capital.
Touchdown, Kansas City.
This is fun and not so fun. 8. How will Hopkins' presence affect Xavier Worthy, Juju Smith-Schuster, and one Sky Moore?
Well, Juju, we have to wait until we get back. I think Hopkins, as you're talking about, might be that kind of slot role, at least a good chunk of the time while Juju's out, which we still are kind of a little confused on. I mean, let's be real. He was listed as out on Monday. Typically, Andy gives you until like Thursday, or at least he'll just say questionable, almost playing a little bit of gamesmanship. On Monday, he said he's out. That was a surprise. So we'll see with Juju Smith-Schuster. But I think when Juju comes back, you'll see a lot of DeAndre Moore on the outside. You'll see Xavier on the outside. Xavier on the outside. And you'll see Juju in the slot, which I think is your best. Quite frankly, that's a pretty good receiving core right there. I'm not saying it's elite, but that's a pretty that's useful. That's one that Mahomes should not have any issues with compared to last season. You tell me you have those guys instead of last year's wide receiving core. That is still an upgrade. It's not what you thought you were going to have with Rashee and with Hollywood and then with the smattering of Xavier. But again, this is better than last season. But until Juju gets back, I like him on the outside or on the inside. I like Xavier still doing his over-the-top role along with Justin Watson, who's playing a ton of snaps and not getting many targets. Sky Moore, I think, is pretty much done. Like I think Sky Moore, I feel bad, might be a nice guy. I've interviewed him before. Nice enough dude to me. I think he's about done. I think it's a lot mental for him. So I think, and I hope he gets another opportunity on another team, but he's now expecting to not catch the football, it seems like. Like when that ball was thrown his way, it's crazy.
Dude, he's the least efficient wide receiver in the National Football League. That is not hyperbole. I think BJ Kissel pointed this out, that PFF has him in terms of efficiency. He's 186 out of 186.
Correct.
What more can you say? He is done here. He is done here. I like this mix. And keep in mind that when we say like slot receiver, Andy doesn't play anybody in the slot more than about 60%. That is like peak. And a lot of times it's 50% is the high. So even if Juju Smith-Schuster gets well, and man, this is why I wanted this trade, because I think Juju's a tough guy, but honestly, at this point, his lower body is MacGyvered together with like, I don't know, bubble gum, duct tape, a few paper clips. Like he is just not built to last. And honestly, with him, I maybe just put him on ice until the playoffs, because we've seen him, put him on layaway, the old Jerick McKinnon plan, because we've seen him come in off the couch and rock it in a Chiefs uniform. So we saw
Kansas City.
We saw what we wanted to see. And McCole Hardman, we didn't really get to him. I still think there's a role for him as a gadget player. Unfortunately, he can't play the San Francisco 49ers every week. If he could, he would be an all-pro, but promising signs nonetheless. Number 9. Does Hopkins' arrival mean less snaps and more rest for Travis Kelce?
No, I don't think there's going to be a correlation there as much. Travis Kelce is still playing a bleep ton of snaps. He was the leading weapon last week. It was him, then Justin Watson, then Noah Gray. I think you're still going to see a ton of Travis Kelce out there. I think he wants to be out there. Quite frankly, I wonder how much of it is up to Andy versus him of like, no, man, I'm good. I'm going out there. You know what I'm saying? Like they might say, hey, Trav, Noah Gray's good. He's going to take, no, I gotta get my reps in. I got to go out there. I got to get in the flow of the game. Also, I think Mahomes just trusts him. Whether he looks his way or not, there's still a trust factor between him and Kelce. So I don't think the Hopkins signing is going to necessarily mean less Travis Kelce. Might mean a little less Noah Gray, but I think more or less it means, because that's 12 personnel, but I think it means less Sky for sure. Probably less Justin Watson. That's probably the guy that gets a big chunk knocked out.
Okay, I've got a trivia question for you. The answer would have been Rashee Rice before his injury, but he's no longer eligible. Which Chiefs target, it can be receiver, tight end, running back, has the highest yards per route run currently?
Oh, Noah Gray.
He's been unbelievable, and he hasn't even run 100 routes this season. I think he made, especially last week, he made a real argument for playing more. He has been Mr. Reliable for this team for many seasons, and I think he's playing better than ever. I mean, when a pass goes to him, there's no doubt in my mind he's going to catch that ball. He's going to catch that ball. When I see him out in the field, he's going to block the guy across from him. He's going to do what is asked for him. He's smart, he's tough, he's savvy. He's obviously motivated because he got the contract and he's playing better than ever. I just could not be higher on Noah Gray. I don't know where this team, frankly, would be without Noah Gray.
He's been outstanding. PFF's third-ranked tight end of all tight ends. You have to qualify, but he's one of the qualifiers. He's been outstanding, and that you see why the Chiefs decided to give him that contract extension. Now, it remains to be seen if he's just thriving because of this, I don't want to say limited role. I mean, again, he played 67% of snaps last week. He was the third highest again. It was Kelce, Watson, then him. So he's getting a lot of snaps. But is it a little bit of, hey, you're not getting 80 or 90. We think you thrive best in this role? Or is it time to say, hey, you know what? You keep proving you deserve more snaps. You're now going to become an every down player. In baseball terms, it was almost like Freddie Fermin. Like, he was great in that limited role. You put him in every single day. You saw he got exposed. We'll see with Noah Gray, but I want to see him at least get that opportunity first.
And I'm going to go over again. No respect for the 8,008 today, but you know what?
Touchdown, Kansas City.
It's an important day, and this is kind of an important talking point. I'd like to see Travis Kelce play a little less. I think when you get to the age he's at, some days you feel good, some days you don't. You know, he's an older football player, and he's been a little up and down, been a little bit of a roller coaster. Let's do some NBA load maintenance. Let's get his snaps at about 60%, especially if we can get Juju back. Let's make sure we get 87 into next season, into the postseason, totally healthy. Number 10, the final question. And I'll preface this one with a bit of news. The NFL's James Palmer reported today that there's a real chance Hollywood Brown could be back for the postseason. So what are the odds that both Hopkins and Brown are available for the playoffs?
I want to say 100%, but that obviously doesn't take into account Hollywood nor Hopkins getting injured. But I think realistically, pretty darn good. Like, it really does sound like Hollywood's going to be available for the postseason. And Hopkins, I'm not going to put any Juju. Well, I'll put the good Juju Smith-Schuster on him. Or according to Tom Brady, Juju Schuster-Smith. I think it's going to be your wide receiver core in the playoffs of DeAndre, Hollywood, Xavier Worthy, Juju Smith-Schuster. You'll have the smattering of snaps from McCole Hardman. Again, I think Justin Watson will be the guy that probably starts getting the majority of his snaps taken away. I really like Justin Watson because he does a lot of the little things. He knows all the routes. Chiefs trust him. Andy Reid trusts him. Patrick Mahomes trusts him. He actually makes a lot of difficult catches. Like even that, what was it, the 8-yarder he brought in? That was not an easy catch. I've been pretty impressed with Justin Watson in a nutshell. I just think he has too much snaps. But yeah, I mean, you look at that wide receiver room when you have Hollywood back with the addition of DeAndre Hopkins, this looks a lot different.
I'm going to knock on wood here. But when I look at Hopkins, Hollywood Brown, and Juju, when you said they're all going to be there in the postseason, I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know. That seems like the king of wishful thinking right there. I hate to say it, but I'm a little worried about the frailty of this group. But I think that's why you add another guy. And the question is, well, I mean, they're not going to play Hollywood until the postseason. So, I mean, if you have Hollywood Brown, Hopkins, and Xavier Worthy out there, that could be incredible. But I have to ask you, are the Chiefs done shopping for receivers?
Well, first off, you can't stop Debbie Downer, apparently. Congrats, Bess. Thanks for being Debbie Downer. That's nice of you. I really, really enjoyed that one. I don't think they're completely done. Like if they brought in again to Demarcus Robinson now at this point, I wouldn't be like shocked. But also, you'll get Juju back. You're going to get Hollywood back. I don't know how it kind of comes down to how serious is Juju's injury. If Juju's injury is just out a week or two, I think no, you're not getting anyone. Now, if he's at an extended period of time, then that might make a little more sense. Maybe cornerback's a spot they take a look at, but knowing the Chiefs, they could put you or me out there and they'll find a way to get production. I mean, they're just so talented with Dave Merritt and Spags back there. Although Jalen Watson was having an incredible season.
Yeah, we're about to run out of time, but just my hunch on Juju's
Touchdown, Kansas City.
On Juju's injury is that it's a similar thing to Nico Collins, AJ Brown, and now Mike Evans, where it's going to be a 4 or 5 week deal. I mean, when they're out on Monday, that, like you said, I mean, that just doesn't really happen that much with Andy. That is a telltale sign that he is done. And you said I'm Debbie Downer, but I am feeling very grateful and very excited. I really, really thought that it was going to be Marquez Valdez-Scantling or Demarcus Robinson, or maybe if we got really lucky, Darius Slayton or one of these projects, these former first rounders like Jonathan Mingo's not a first rounder, but Treylon Burks, Elijah Moore, guys like that. And no, Veach went hard.
Yeah, I'm thrilled, man. And it's Raider week. I'm thrilled.
Closing thoughts. So they have 11 games left. How many yards and how many touchdowns will DeAndre Hopkins have from here on out?
I'll give him 11 games. I'll give him 650, which is about 60 yards a game average. I'll give him 650, and I will give him 6 touchdowns. I'll go 650 and 6 touchdowns.
Yeah, I'm
every other
about
game
there.
Basically 5.5 touchdowns. Like I'm like thinking of like what's the over under going to be set at? You know,
I learned my lesson being too aggressive with yardage totals in this offense on our Sky Moore bet last year. I just think they spread the ball around too much. And that is if you play fantasy and you're thinking about DeAndre Hopkins, that is a consideration. They spread the ball around in Kansas City a lot. I don't think that would change no matter who they integrated into this offense. So I think that is a great call. I expect it. If he can stay on the field, I expect it to come true. Well, that's all we've got for you guys on National DeAndre Hopkins Day. If you dig AA, here's how you can help our community grow. The first thing you can do is subscribe to our channel right here on YouTube. Why wouldn't you? We're podcasting almost every day. Tons of content for you guys. The next thing you can do, just leave us a quick 5-star review on Spotify or Apple. And if you ask us a question, we will get to you. We'll answer that question on the Thursday OG hour. We'll answer your question there. And also, don't forget about arrowheadaddict.com, the mothership. They're always cranking out good content. Matt Connor and the gang. Thanks to the chat. You guys always bring it. We're especially fun today as we celebrate National DeAndre Hopkins Day. Join us live next Wednesday at 5 p.m. Central, right here on the Arrowhead Addict channel. Until then, F the Raiders.